Hello, and welcome to another episode of Steel Sharpens Steel. I am Joyce Stevens.
I am Jermaine Taylor.
and we are back for another exciting episode. And as we promised, we told the Sharpies, if you want to be on the show, send us some information. Just be like, holla, and we will bring you on the show. So today we have another Sharpie who has been very vocal in our chat. And today we are welcoming the one and only Shay Johnson, Esquire, if I might not be so bold as to add to the show. So Shay, welcome to the stage.
Hello, my chat friend.
I know, right?
And so now I got to bring this up because I said, tell me a little bit about yourself. So let me just read a few things. Attorney, 20 plus years. Professional legal writing, JD, Southern University, BA from LSU. You live in Louisiana now, right? Now, as a matter of fact, right? General badassery all around. When I tell you our audience is about that life, our audience is the upper echelon of education. Our audience is the ones with not to fuck. This is what I'm talking about right here. So, yes, ma'am. You know,
I'm definitely in that category.
That girl right there.
Hey, Shay.
Southern University.
So, as always, thank you for watching the show. Thank you for being here. And we want to just get right into it. And so we know from the way that you're always just so present in the chat that it's about to be on and popping. You know, shout out Southern University. You got a lot of fans already in the chat room. And y'all, but Shay, anybody you want to shout out? Anything you want to say? Just make sure we get into it.
The number one thing I want to say is I'm going to send a shout out to the Saints. And I have a bunch of Saints fans over here, but we went over there to Dallas.
Yeah, y'all beat the Cowboys the other day, so I really can't co-sign that.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been ragging on us for the last 5 years. Our quarterback was terrible, but hey, Saints marching in and taking numbers and kicking everything up in here. So we definitely want to shout out the Saints.
Yeah. Y'all beat the brakes. Y'all handed their ass right to them.
Yeah,
me being a native Texan. Congratulations. I mean, I ain't even mad. I'm not I was born and raised a Cowboys fan. But you know, I'm reformed. I'm born again. No longer associated with that life.
Well, I am ride or die, in season, out of season. I'm still bragging on that three-peat in the '90s. That's me. I'd be that brother right there. So,
I'm taking it back to the '90s. Not a whole different century, huh?
Because we won it 3 times in a row, and that'll be forever until the day I die. So it's gonna.
We always got to bring up old stuff. All right. I promise you, I'm in Louisiana, but if I go next door, I might have to fight my neighbor because my neighbor's a Dallas Cowboys.
See, it's in the blood.
They do pop up.
Get away from it. Yeah.
Yeah, but they all over the place. Look, Anthony's like, what 3P? What 3? Once upon a time,
Google.
Back in the days of
Emmitt Smith
and Troy Aikman, the Cowboys had a really good team. And then, those people retired and they've never been able to quite get that magic back again.
It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Long time.
But you know what, Anthony? I know what your comment is referring to. Something I'm gonna keep my ears on Cat Williams from now on. Remember when we talked about how Cat just laid it all out on Club Shay Shay? What was that? A few months ago, and everybody was like, "Woo, Cat is out here just telling stories and just like, is this all true?" Yes, and
allegedly.
Yes, thank you, lawyer. Allegedly, a lot of these things, there are some indictments that have come down, but wow, we're getting some hate.
Vera, we're supposed to be the first family. You can't do me like that. You got to stand behind me, fiction and all.
The Cowboys repeat, not the Super Bowl.
Y'all not gonna have it. I don't know who your team is, Anthony, but don't do it. Don't.
It is amazing to me how we can have all these different like teams of people support, but they will all come together
She said,
to
pipe
beat up
down.
on the Cowboys nationwide.
I love it.
Because y'all
She
fans
said,
are so out of pocket. That's the problem.
I think
Wow,
you might bring
Vera
back the
said, I'm a
act right.
historian.
Okay.
Wow. Just like that. Disavowed. Just like that.
She just gonna let me have it.
Okay, but so we do have a lot to talk about, and we won't. So what I want to do today, we're going to get to the serious things. We're going to get to the not so serious things, and we're going to end on some y'all. What the hell? We're going to end with that. And actually, the way it might turn out, we might be ended up, with politics and freak offs and everything all over the place. But we want to start with the things that this show is really about, because this is a politically leaning show. So we want to start with, one of the biggest stories that came out in the last 24 hours, which is this issue of the Teamsters and the fact that for the first time in modern history, if not ever, they have decided nationally not to endorse a political candidate. And so, the leader of the Teamsters has said that they will neither endorse Kamala Harris nor former President Trump for this 2024 election cycle. And so, Shay, I know you said some things you wanted to talk about in reference to that.
Yeah, there was recently. I don't want to say recently. Maybe Al Gore, maybe in that.
Yeah, but still, we're talking 30, 40 years ago. Yeah.
And so, consistently, it's been Democrats with Democrats getting endorsements.
Mm-hmm.
Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, all have earned the Teamsters endorsement over the past couple of decades, right? And so this non-endorsement, right? It's foolishness that they pulled off today. Just really, I don't know what it is, right? And people would say, oh, guys, every time something comes up, you guys pull out the race theme. It's kind of hard not to do so when you're looking at historically, the Democrats have been the party of the workers.
Yeah, the Labor Party.
The Labor Party, exactly.
Last week, Adolf was Apricot Adolf. I have many names for him. I have to remember. He was over there yucking it up with Elon Musk about being able to fire employees and doing all this kind of foolishness.
Right.
You're talking to someone who's building electric cars, which if they hit really big, really successful, you're going to put a large segment of the Teamsters Union completely out of business, right? Unless they can,
pivot. There's not enough pivot in the world, right?
So it just blows my mind. But I don't know how the largest block of members there, white males, 64%, I believe.
Right. And my understanding is, like, when they did some internal polling, there was a disturbing number of their constituency of like the 1.3 million people that are registered with the Teamsters that were leaning towards Trump. And I think that may have been the cause for them to say, you know what, since y'all don't know how to act, we just doing nobody this year.
I can't be convinced that Sean O'Brien, he's the president of the Teamsters, the leader. I don't know what they call him, president or the leader. That his appearance at the RNC wasn't a precursor to an endorsement later on. I have to know that that's the way it was going to happen. Because during that time, Biden was still in the race. And it was looking very like Biden was going to lose. And it was going to be an elevation of Trump in the second term. So I feel like he was made a calculation a bit too early, not knowing that we were going to experience this huge disruption in the Democratic Party. So now he's left with, just trying to find some kind of story as to where he should land and how to make sense of it all.
It's a very good point.
Because there is a caucus within the Teamsters. It's a black caucus. His name is James Kirbeam. He's over at the Black Teamsters. And they are overwhelmingly in supportive of Harris. They're not as large a number as the white ones are, but, they do make a difference. And when he was asked about, that particular support within the party, he just brushed him off, made some kind of statement as if like, well, they're not really affiliated and don't really speak for the Teamsters Union at large, which I find very problematic because although they are a subgroup, they are still a part of the group.
Right.
you know, so he just easily dismissed them. And I feel like he's just still trying to find his footing as to where he initially really wants to land. I don't know if he wants a cabinet position if Trump is in there, or he's just trying to keep his job because, you know, Trump support outweighs Harris support. That there's a weird little dance he's doing right now.
Yeah.
Because she went to him and told him, she goes, listen, if you don't endorse me and I win, I will still work for you.
Right. But that's not happening on the other side.
You know,
and so hedging his bets, if he doesn't endorse her, it's not so bad for him. But if he does endorse her and the other side wins, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
So I can understand how he's maybe trying to save his own skin. But there was a comment here in the chat. Whoop, I'm losing some stuff here about a lot of local chapters have endorsed Kamala. Most specifically, you've got the Teamsters Union in Michigan. Detroit is out in the streets. Joint Council 43 came out like, yes, I don't know what they're doing, but as for me and my house, we stand with Kamala.
I mean,
they're not the only ones, though.
Yeah, and he appointed judges that, you know, pretty much are trying to tear down the fabric and the strength of the unions. I mean, he even appeared at that non-union plant. Remember when they were on strike and he appeared at that plant and he was urging them not to pay their dues? You know, so everything he says is so the opposite of what you would think Sean O'Brien would want to hear from someone who's going to be the president. It's really baffling.
Fear is a powerful motivator.
Yeah.
And if you fear for yourself, you are willing to give up a lot of things to ensure your own safety.
Yeah.
You know, and he may not be thinking about his constituencies. He's thinking about his own pockets and his own.
And that's what it feels like. Someone mentioned to me they feel like he's been bought, and perhaps, but I do feel like he made a calculation. What he said earlier. Oh, there's my friend Mark. I invited him to the show. Yay! Yeah, you're right. His entire life.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't care about the working man and the power, the collective power of the working man.
Right, because any union worth its salt is going to be in place to hold owners, CEOs, businesses accountable to their workers. And as somebody who hates accountability, naturally Trump is going to hate unions because he doesn't want to be held accountable for anything.
Right.
So yeah, he's going to be aggressively anti-union his entire life because he ain't paid nobody, which is why he's always hired the kind of people that he's hired that have been not in a union so he can mess them over
and
not pay them at the end of the day.
Them on the bills. So what do you think this is going to be as far as damage, guys? Do you think it's going to like cost us a huge block or something? Because I can't figure out how this is going to affect us overall.
I don't think so. But Shay, you had a point you wanted to make?
Well, to that as well. I would say first with Sean O'Brien, there's you can say, okay, he might be looking out for himself, but he may also, if he's genuinely concerned about the members, right, then I can understand this line he's walking, because you have someone who is retaliatory and who's told us he's going to be so. And so maybe he's saying, this for you guys don't know what your best interests are, but let me do that here. But when you're looking at some of the local chapters that were coming out, you have swing states, Philadelphia, Michigan, Wisconsin. So a bunch of those people, I want to say the people who have come out and endorsed her so far might constitute a block of about 300 to 350,000 people. And those are just the ones we've heard of, right? You got to think about the bigger ones. And there's somewhere about 1.3 million people. So,
Yeah, like I think I heard that the Michigan chapter is about 300,000. So that's a good, maybe a quarter of all of their people. So I don't think the lack of endorsement nationally is going to hurt her overall.
Right.
But it might give him a little bit of a boost in the fact that Trump's presence could be spun as enough to stop them from endorsing her.
Right. Well, he's taken this, ambiguity and non-endorsement as a win. He's running with it. So, he loves how to spin things. And I think that the appearance at the RNC to me was just really telling of what they thought was going to happen. So that's why I'm not really, really trusting any excuses he's giving right now.
Right. But Mark makes a good point. Like, people vote, organizations do not. And so no matter what is being said for presentation, for a moment, for what do you call it?
Posturing, maybe.
Posturing. Yes.
Yeah.
When they vote, they're going to vote. And but Paul is also right. Middle of the road is not going to work for this election.
Yeah.
If in a way that it has not been laid out in modern times, this is a whose side are you on type of election.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little disheartening, especially because we saw such a huge galvanization of them at the DNC. I mean, it was a parade. So you just naturally thought that, they would have followed suit. So that's the big letdown to me. But, it goes without saying.
But there was one thing. He did request to speak at the DNC, but they denied him. And so I wondered, like, what was the thought process behind that?
Retaliatory. Jamie Johnson had some axe to grind, and I don't blame him. I feel for the petty.
Right, but they have 1.3 million.
You can't be on both stages. Nah, you ain't gonna be on both stages. So it's what it is.
But hey, that would have been a perfect opportunity to say,
no,
hey,
you ain't
even
gonna
if
be
you don't agree with me,
you gotta have
I'm
some
still
principles,
over.
and I was all for it. I heard about that. I guess it's true then. I didn't know that because I heard it. I just thought it was just a wives' tale. No, I was with Jamie. No, you chose your bed, you lay in it, damn it.
Mm-hmm. We ain't taking sloppy seconds.
No, we ain't. We got all this momentum.
Mm-hmm.
But she is experiencing a bit of a surge, guys. I will add that before we go into our next topic. The only poll I really pay attention to are the two polls. Suffolk poll and the morning console poll. And she's reached and she's gotten over that mythical, 5-point curve. She's at 5.5 to 6 points over him nationally. And whenever you're that, far in the lead nationally, all the experts, the political scientists, and all the strategists, they say you are really carrying the heavy weight in the swing states as well. So I'm feeling really, really, really good, especially in the wake of all the stuff that's happening in Georgia with this election board trying to suppress the vote. So I'm feeling really, really good hearing that news. I got that news on yesterday when I looked at the poll. That's the morning content.
The poll bumps, but to be honest with you, after Hillary Clinton,
I don't trust nobody.
You don't?
No.
There's not like one poll that's a touchstone for you. Not that one.
I don't believe nobody because
and they're all saying it, right? Quinnipiac 538. Everybody's like, oh, she's
ain't nobody listening to Nate Silver. He's old news. In fact, I think Mark can tell you about Nate Silver. He's yesterday's business.
Mm-hmm.
But
the thing is, I don't trust the polls, and I don't want us to trust the polls because I don't want any single person to think, oh, I can sit this out because she got it.
Yeah.
I want everybody to vote like that, literally like their life depends on it. I want everybody to think that their individual vote is the one that's going to make a difference. I don't want anybody to sit at home thinking that it's okay because it's not.
But I think that's pretty much baked in this time. I feel like, knowing we got the momentum and we're going to run like we're 20 points behind, I feel like it's all in the pie.
Oh, this is a screenshot right here. Election day is the only poll you might be able to trust.
Thank you, Mr. Bob Breeden, for just leveling my confidence. I appreciate it.
Right, and he's Chan always coming with the truth. She did win the popular vote. The polls weren't wrong, but it was the particular votes in particular places across 3 states that lost her the electoral college, and that ended up turning everything on its ear. So that damn electoral college. The only reason we have it is because each side thinks that they're gonna use it to their advantage when they get in power. Right.
But I just like it when
another
it
thing we
indicates
just get rid of
because he pays attention to them. That's what he pays attention to. And whenever you're behind somewhere, you got to put more resources in that state. Yeah. And he ain't got no money, so. It's he doesn't. He's really cash poor. I mean, she's like outpacing him, fundraising like crazy. So it just sort of because he pays attention to stuff like that. I feel like he kind of gives him somewhere to kind of go mentally, and thus the more erratic he gets, and thus the crazier things get, and we pull out even more because he's just all unhinged. That's just my reasoning. I don't know.
I want somebody to ask him during an interview or something, why are you poor? I would love that to happen. Watch him just his face just crack apart like an alien and just lose his altogether.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
But speaking of Trump, not necessarily him, but his running mate is out here just spewing lies. So we've got this whole thing, like I put this in there, so we just lying out loud now. He went on national television and said that it was okay to make things up. Wait, let me move this. Let me move this down a little bit.
Guyliner and all. At least his face looked good.
Right, that's a whole lot of makeup.
Pancake.
Somebody put this on Twitter. Said JD Vance said it's fine to make up stories, and we wish him well on his long road to recovery from syphilis. Since we're just making things up, but here's actually the video clip that we got of where is it? About him saying this out loud on television.
Trump and I start talking about cat memes. If I have to create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of
she can't wait.
Food and housing.
You just said that you're creating a story.
Public policy.
Duh.
Sorry, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You heard her.
You just said that this is a story that you created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not.
We are creating. We are.
Yeah, motherfucker.
First-hand accounts from my.
Whoops, sorry.
Everybody was hype.
But this is also what happens. I don't want to give them any credit for anything, and I don't want to give them any excuses for anything, but this is also what happens when you have people that are not well versed in controlling their rhetoric, controlling their mouth, controlling their temper. They don't know how to go on television and not say the quiet part out loud. Right. And so you have a lot of people that, heaven help us, right? That don't know how to comport themselves. And they end up with these sound bites, and then they have to go and say that wasn't me, or that's taken out of context. Or is this when you say, in here with the hard ER, etc. They're saying it with their whole chest, and then they double down, triple down, they make it worse, and they dig the hole so deep that they believe that the only resolution is to keep digging. And this is where they are as a party.
Yeah,
we kept digging, and now they're halfway to the center of the earth at this point.
Well, they just lie though. They just lie without composure. It's not even like because we have to keep face. It's
strategy now. It's clearly strategy. What they're doing is on purpose. They're trying to create chaos. Yeah. All this political violence that they're inciting, because they're trying to steer the conversation away from their lack of policy, their lack of platform, all of that. Mm-hmm. And they've got to the point where we can actually say that political violence is now normalized. Yeah, I really believe it is, because that's what's going to end up happening. Somebody's going to get hurt.
Somebody's already been hurt, right? Yeah. And we talk about being one of the best countries in the world, but we have women that are dying, and through preventable lack of medical care and preventable procedures that could have prevented them from losing their life, from lack of medical care, DNCs, proportions, et cetera. We have violence over political parties. We have attempted coups. We are a third world nation. Yeah. We have terrible illiteracy rates. We have terrible childcare. We have terrible health care. And because we have a populace that is isolated, think about it. The United States, unlike a lot of other countries in Europe and the continent of Africa and Asia, it's us in Canada and Mexico. We don't go anywhere. We don't see anything else. And we believe the propaganda perpetuated to us by our media. We believe that America is the best country on earth because we ain't seen nothing else.
Yeah, right? Ain't been nowhere.
We ain't been nowhere. Most Americans don't have a passport.
Yeah.
And only the rich go other places. Right. We think fancy is the Keys, the Florida Keys. Ooh, I'm going to
five-star restaurant is the Olive Garden.
Right? I'm fancy. I went to Ruth's Chris for my 50th birthday party, right?
we go places, but we go to the resorts. We don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
I say this often. There's only one campaign that comes close to the American propaganda machine, and that is Hitler. And he's a distant second, and he got rid of 6 million people.
Yeah.
Nobody's been as prolific in spreading just that around the world. Like, we're great, we're excellent, we're the best, we're more powerful, we're smarter, we're this, that, and the other. Now, depending on the day, who's the we part, we might have some debate about, right? But at the end of the day, they just truly believe this. As a matter of fact, in Georgia, just this week, the story came out about 2 women who died in 22 because they could not get access to abortion care. I think both of them had.
I've got that. So I'm going to see if I pulled the pictures, but they were really small. I'm going to see if I can pull them up here.
So,
while you're pulling that up, Joy, but this whole conspiracy thing that they are just really running with right now, because I was thinking about this on a broader level, that affects all of us. And I'll tell you why. Every freaking mass shooter, the guy in El Paso, the guy in Buffalo, the Pittsburgh shooter in the synagogue, when they leave these manifestos, they're ridden with conspiracy all through them. And those people are far removed from the actual where the conspiracy was even based on. So that stuff affects the people that they so-called need mental health aid for. And they go out and they act on it because of all the stuff that's been spewed from the people that they find favor with. Right. So it's a very dangerous situation to like run with these things in the short term, thinking they're going to really, really gin up your base and make them turn out. It may have been a stretch, but I believe that because every manifesto I've read has always been, laced with a conspiracy in it.
Listen, when I just had to just turn off the news because like I can't watch any more of them. He and his surrogates talking about the Democrats needing to bring down rhetoric, and I'm thinking, I'm like, your vice president nearly got hung at the Capitol, right? You sent all these people over here, and again, I'm like, they just lie, right? Did we not all watch him when he gave his January 6th speech, basically incite a riot? But they said, oh no, he told them to go over there peacefully. Which speech were you watching, right?
Exactly.
You've had election workers who've been assaulted, threatened. They're showing up at polls with guns because they're monitoring things.
Yeah.
You got the militias. Every single thing that he does, there's some type of violent rhetoric that somebody can take, and we're gonna go and act out against. You just came up with the crazy pet eating story.
Yeah.
And the schools have to shut down because they're bomb threats.
Right. It's not even in the subtext anymore, Shay. It's overt, And I think that we've gotten to a point to where we just come up with these trite ways of responding to it, not knowing that the real effects of it can be a human life.
Right.
And that's just where I am with this. And I feel like as much as they're running with it, you're seeing a furtherance between the campaigns. I feel like that's why we're doing so well, because people are just anxious to get away from it. I just want to be my old school racist. I don't want to be this kind of racist. I want to.
Can we bring the old school racism back? Like just
saying that quiet part. That
right.
I don't want to be the overt in your face. If you see me, you got to figure out what side I'm on. I don't want to be that kind of
right. We thought we used to say like, just give me the racism up front. And I'm like, can you put it back? Because this is a little much for me.
Because I was actually okay. That's the kind of racism I grew up with in Texas.
Right.
I know that's low key racist, but I'm gonna let you make it because you said bless your heart.
You said bless your heart, and I thought you meant it. Chan's got a point. It's funny. I think that the guy that tried to take out Trump at his golf course was a thick beard short of an Abraham Lincoln doppelganger. Maybe Abraham was reincarnated to be like, not on my watch.
But are we really convinced he tried to take him out, though, or is that just what we run with?
I don't know. You make a good point, because a lot of people have said that he did, but I mean,
There was no shots fired.
True.
And you guys know the lead attorney, the district attorney who actually was prosecuted the guy and brought out the convictions. His name was Michael LaPont. He's Haitian American.
Really?
Yes.
You can't make this stuff up.
You cannot. Appointed by George Bush, the second one. Ain't that something? Over the entire case, a Haitian American.
Full circle, right?
Thank you. So
but I want to. I got this picture up, so I want to bring it. It's going to be a small picture, but I'm going to read you the bullet points of her story really quickly. So forgive me for covering your face for a second. Let me see if I can move us over. There we go. So this is Amber Thurman, and so July 20th, 2022, Georgia's 6-week abortion ban went into effect. 2 weeks later, Amber Thurman, she was 28 years old. She found out that she was 9 weeks pregnant with twins, but she was also in the middle of a huge financial crisis on her own. She was trying to do a lot of things by herself, and she knew for her own personal life that it was an unexpected pregnancy and that she would not have made a good mother at that time. So she went to North Carolina for an abortion. She hit traffic. She had a lot of other problems that day. She missed her appointment for a surgical abortion. They gave her a pill abortion, assuming that everything was fine. It should have been okay, but it wasn't. And so when she got back home, she experienced severe bleeding at home, ended up in a Georgia hospital with severe acute sepsis. So here's what happened. She went to another state. She tried to get a surgical abortion and it didn't work. She didn't make the appointment, so they gave her a pill abortion and sent her home. So it's not like she got cut on and went home bleeding, because some people misunderstood that. She got a pill abortion, went home. It was supposed to have all come out. What she needed was a D&C, which is when they go in and they basically clear out your uterus of any remaining tissue, any remaining things that could bleed or become infected. She had severe acute sepsis. 20 hours after she shows up in the hospital, 20 hours, basically a day later, the doctors gave Thurman a D&C to remedy that infection. But by then her organs were failing, her blood pressure was extremely low, and her bowels and uterus both needed to be removed. Everything was done, and her heart stopped in surgery. A state committee reviewed her case, and that includes 10 doctors. And they all agreed that upon examining her case, from a maternal mortality standpoint, there was a very good chance that providing her a D&C, or a D&C, not a D&C, D&C earlier would have prevented her death. A D&C is a very routine process that happens with a lot of what we would call spontaneous abortions, with someone miscarries, etc., which that pill abortion usually causes someone to spontaneously miscarry, etc. That's the same general process, right? A D&C would have cleared all that up, but she couldn't get it because this 6-week abortion ban had gone into effect right before she had this happen, and she was 9 weeks pregnant. So no doctor would work on her because they were afraid of going to jail. They feared, again, self-preservation. They feared what would happen, and so they waited for her to get so sick that it became the fear of the health of the mother, which is the only instance in which somebody can do something. But by the time they did something, it was too far gone. Her uterus and her bowel needed to be removed. Her organs had failed. Everything is riddled with bacterial infection at this point. She's beyond saving. 20 hours after she went to the hospital with severe acute sepsis, which is probably another day or so after she got back. So all of this is preventable, and all of this goes right back to this abortion ban, which is what they're trying to pass, or what they're trying to have happen if Trump gets into office. So when we talk about how things are going, what is happening, this is what we mean, right? Whoops.
So do all states consider a D&C an abortion? Because up until now, well, not right now, but up until recent, I thought that was just pretty much a standard routine to just pretty much clean the women, make sure there's just nothing left over.
It's a standard routine, but because you have men that don't know the difference between a urethra and a vaginal canal, making decisions,
But
They
now
just
with the
any
doctor's
time that you
judgment,
go in there, it's wrong.
I knew that without even having medical knowledge, because I used to hear, like, elders in my family talk about have to have a DNC due to whatever they had going on.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how that got caught up into the conversation of it being the same thing as abortion.
Because
Well,
baffling to me.
the laws are they far overreach, right?
Mhm.
We really want to say no, none. It doesn't matter. Even if the woman's gonna die, oh well, she's just gonna die.
Right.
But they haven't been able to do that, and so they get as close to the line as possible, and they are not medical professionals. The people who are writing the laws, do they listen to the medical professionals? Of course not, because they have PhDs in everything,
Right.
and clearly we know that they do not.
Mhm.
And so, a regular routine procedure gets caught up in there, and the doctors, the medical professionals are saying, if I help this woman not die, I might go to jail.
Yeah.
But
Were
this-
they classifying pap smears and all this? Is that a bridge too far?
No, a pap smear is different because you're not pregnant when you get a pap smear. So, but I had a friend who recently was going to get an ultrasound, and she needed an ultrasound because she has like uterine fibroids, and they immediately wanted to do a wand ultrasound. And a wanding ultrasound is when they take basically a turkey baster and jam it up in there to do the ultrasound. Now you can also do the little like the little mouse ultrasound where they just rub the thing over your belly to see what's happening. There's no reason for a wand ultrasound, but a lot of push has been to do a wand ultrasound as the default because it is invasive and it is uncomfortable and it does deter women from wanting to do it. And so if you are going for another reason, hypothetically, to see how far along you are, and you decline an ultrasound because it's the wand type, that also makes you further along in your pregnancy. And so all of this goes, and she declined it. She goes, why do I need a wand ultrasound? I'm here for fibroids. And they're like, oh, sorry. And they gave her the little mouse thing and it was fine. But all of this is part and parcel of how they tried to traumatize women into going along with all this bullshit. You see what I mean? And if she hadn't advocated for herself, they would have done it. And they're starting to default to that in order to make it seem like that's your only option. And if you don't have the knowledge to ask, if you're a scared 16-year-old or 20-year-old girl who doesn't know that you can ask for something else, they do that to you and it becomes traumatic just to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
I'm angry about all of this.
No, I totally get it. It's just baffling how it got to this point when we have women in these decision-making pools as well, and how they would even let this stuff go to the point that where it's gone. It's like, you should have had somebody, if not you or somebody close to you, have had some kind of issues in carrying a child. And that should have been enough as testimony for pushback on the extreme coming from them. So it's a very it's all about power and control. Right. But it's not pro-life at all.
It's not pro-life at all. And there should be women. But to Vince's point, they got rid of sexual health education in schools for the last 20 years. So a lot of people don't even know what they're looking at or dealing with. And there's not a lot of knowledge, not a lot of advocacy where it should be. And even though we have a lot of women as doctors, they're not putting female doctors on these panels when they make these laws and these discussions. It's a bunch of men with barely bachelor's degrees in anything. They might not even be lawyers at that case. They're just somebody who decided to run for office and they're making decisions. I remember hearing this discussion. They were talking about how you do a colonoscopy, and you can you can swallow a pill, and the pill has a camera in it, and it will take a picture of your colon as it goes through. And this man sat there with his whole chest and said, well, why can't we do that for women, with the pap smear and everything? Why can't they swallow a pill and, take a picture of the uterus and everything? And this woman said, because it's not in your digestive tract and you can't swallow a pill in your stomach and have it come out your vagina. She had to tell him that.
And she didn't use scientific terms.
No. You should know that you can't get pregnant from swallowing.
Yeah.
You should know that too. I'm just saying the stupidity and the assumption of superiority from the same people who are dumb as a box of rocks is why we're in the situation that we're in now. You know,
It's like if you in on level science and you're over here talking about you should write policy about healthcare. No, you shouldn't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
We
And so
talked about-
having this knowledge, I do understand the huge pushback that's coming from women on either sides of the aisle, because these are lived experiences and they're not
Right.
partisan at all.
no,
I can't tell you how many girlfriends I had in high school, even in college, that had issues going on that, I had pretty much I didn't know what I was doing, but I took them to the doctor because they were just in tune with what was going on with their bodies. It's really sad. Yeah, I didn't think we were going to go here.
I know, right?
Mhm.
In Georgia, of course, the black maternal mortality in Georgia is on par with third world countries, right? Fibroids and those types of things. There's a high incidence rate of that in black women.
Yep.
So, on top of all the other challenges that black women face in pregnancies,
Right.
it's just one thing on top of the other. And look, I feel that way for all women, but black women in particular, because I am a black woman. Right? I've gone through some of those things. I know people who've gone through those things. It's a challenge just to get health care on a regular basis. I tell the story all the time. I went to, I believe I went to the emergency room 3 times before my primary care physician actually diagnosed me with a blood clot in my knee. $15,000 in medical bills, and they let me walk out of that hospital every time. Blood clot 3 times. I'm reasonably educated. I can advocate for myself. Just happened to be on those particular times I left from work, so I didn't have someone with me to bring me to the hospital. But that's the type of stuff black folks face when you go into the medical care system. And then on top of that, you have all this foolishness that just amplifies the problem. We talk about adequate access to healthcare.
So would you say, Joy, that the whole goal is to just instill this whole notion of fear when it comes to anything that might be going on, so you just won't address it till it gets to the point to where you are just pretty much near death's door and you might ultimately demise?
Yeah.
Is that the goal here?
Yeah. And they'd rather you die because dead people tell no tales. If you're dead and there's no one left to advocate for you, then it never happened. There's no statistic for you.
Because I have
Same reason. It's the same reason they'll shoot you and leave you in the street. If you're dead, then only their side of the story matters.
Yeah. Well, I gotta tell you,
I hate it here.
I do too. Let's go to Canada.
But you know what? We're gonna bring it up a little bit because I don't see my therapist for another week and a half, and I can't be spiraling this weekend. I got stuff to do. So
she met with the NABJ finally after having to reschedule this past, was it July or August, whichever. She couldn't make it because she was already going to the Sigma Gamma Rho convention, and she was mourning the loss of Sheila Jackson Lee during that time. She finally made it to NABJ, and I was pretty much okay, but there were some questions that came at her that kind of rubbed me a little bit. The whole reparations thing came up during one of the questions where she was sitting before the panel of the NABJ. And I feel like any journalist worth his salt understands that is something that you just don't bring up to a black candidate running for anything.
Right.
Because the reparations aren't even popular with the majority. I mean, 72% of white people, they don't even want reparations.
Right.
She's running to be president of the United States.
Right.
She can't lean into that narrative. Watch what she's done. She co-sponsored a bill that Sheila Jackson Lee put forward before she passed. So watch her actions. So when that question was pretty much teed up for her, I was really, really rubbed, and I was like, are you guys setting this woman up? You know? And it was really bothersome to me because out of all people, I felt like journalists should have had a lot more know-how and wits about it than to set such an obvious trap for her. But she's very measured. She stays on, message. A lot of her answers I kind of wish she'd get to the punch really quicker because she always gives us a little backstory. But then a friend of mine said, well, the reason why she gives backstory because everybody always say they don't know enough about it. So she gives them some backstory. So in that context, I get it. But I kind of want her to like get to the meat of the answer really, really quick because, you know, the attention span, ours is fairly healthy. But, you know, everyday Americans, they already checking their phones after this second.
That's a symptom of being a lawyer.
Is that what that is?
It's well, think about it. When every time you go to a jury, right, you have to teach them about stuff. So that's what you do every day. You're teaching people about the law and how to apply it. Right. So
do you think that's effective though? I mean, because I feel like a lot of people might lose her.
I'm not saying it's effective. I have friends. I have my law partner graduated from Harvard Law School. I tell her every time when she comes and she says, "Oh, Miss Johnson, let me ask you a question," and I ask her a question so I can help, and she says she starts here. In the beginning, there was a word.
I'm already done.
Oh, ma'am.
But it was just a needless topic because, you know, we're in a day and time where we're living, you know, without affirmative action. DEI is on the chopping block. So what the hell you think reparations going to rank and all that? You know what I'm saying? So read the room, people. That just kind of rubbed me from that. But for the most part, the sit down was pretty good. She pretty much answered the questions. They did pitch a question about her pitch to black men.
Well, before you get off the reparations thing, first of all, that was a trap.
Yeah.
There's no good way to answer that question. You're gonna piss somebody off no matter what you do.
Right.
And so I do feel like they try to set her up with that. But then I had this conversation with Tom actually yesterday. We were talking about the reparations idea, and he said he was talking to one of his frat brothers, and he said, "So give me a number. If we have a number, like how much do you think is owed to the average a Black American who is a descendant of slavery in the United States?" And then you dilute that by how many people there are. And so it came out to be like maybe $15,000 per capita, right? Okay, so if you get that, if the government gives you $15,000, that's it. That's a wrap. $15,000 is not going to change anybody's life. But you got to shut the hell up about equal opportunity. You got to shut the hell up about what is it? The shit. I'm losing the word. The set aside. You got to about affirmative action. You got to shut up about discrimination. You got to shut up about everything because we gave you reparations. Everything's fair now. Everything's square. This is our official apology. Don't ask us for nothing else. So do you really want reparations? Because that does not fix the ills in society. If anything, they might decide, if you remember the TV show, what was it? The Watchmen on HBO. That was starring, matter of fact,
Regina King.
Yeah, Regina King. And they were called, I think Robert Redford was president, and they called it Redfarations, and the entire country was mad at Black people because they got reparations, and they started. It ignited an entire second Jim Crow era where they treated Black people bad because they were mad about the money that they got, and they treated everybody as if Black people were now just magically rich because they got like $8,000 a piece. That is a possibility,
Well, I would say on that part, I still want my reparations, right? I just don't think this is the time to ask about them.
Yeah.
Because one thing, we have an example of reparations and them doing the right thing.
Yeah.
As the Jewish folks.
Right.
Because everybody has paid them reparations.
Yeah.
If you say something bad about them mistakenly, you might get canceled. So no, we know how to do reparations and do the right thing. We just do it with whom we want.
There's some market differences in those constituencies as well.
I'm with you on that one. But there's this segment of the Black population, and it has been that way since even before with Hillary Clinton. We saw that as well too. Even with Barack Obama, where they think, okay, well, he hasn't done anything for Black people.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard, because what they can do is they can go in and they can effectuate policies, get policies established that help us the most.
Yeah.
right? Who's going to benefit the most from those
Yeah.
particular policies? Us. What in Trump's policy? I think Trump did what? He gave some HBCUs some money.
Right.
I think that's about it, because he said somewhere in the clip that he's done the most for Black people,
And that wasn't even the most, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's the only person he said that had done more for him was for Black people was Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham
I was
Lincoln,
like,
right.
if
Who
y'all-
also didn't do what people think he did.
Right.
But anyway.
No.
if you don't get
It's just
hands off the TV with this foolishness.
It bothers me because these questions that they've been posing to her, they're not asking of him. You know?
Right. That was my issue. Like
Yeah.
even during the debate, even the expectations of the debate were skewed. She had to prove beyond a shadow of the doubt that she could be perfect at the job,
Right.
with no doubt in anybody's mind. And all he had to do was not hit her.
Yeah.
Like-
I'll call her an N-word.
Right. That was it. All he had to do was not fall asleep and be able to string a sentence together, and he was going to be the next coming. She had to prove, they wanted her to bring out charts and graphs and be able to articulate every single point of her plan. And if she had, there was a very good chance that he would say, well, that's what I was going to say, or
Right.
whatever, you know. And all he had to do was just stand there and not fall asleep.
It's worse than that, though, because he already did the job and he was bad at it.
Yeah.
That's why he lost. and so now she has to stand on this person who's admittedly she has never been the president, but she's been everything leading up to the president.
Right.
Exactly.
His running mate, Donald Trump, is what, 78 years old, 70,
Yeah.
something like that. JD Vance, he's a one-term. Is he? He's I don't even know what his position is.
He's a senator.
He's a senator.
Yeah.
I was like, is he a state
Governor.
senator? Is he in Congress? I don't even know. But he just got there yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So if something should happen to Trump, this is who we have.
Right.
This is the president, someone who has maybe a week's worth of experience. And here's this woman who she really doesn't have to tell you about her experience. You know it already.
Yeah.
When going back to that segment of the Black population, I heard this often, just like, where's Kamala Harris? Why isn't she doing this? Well, she's been silent. And I'm like, she's been one of the most active vice presidents in a very long time. She's always somewhere. The fact that you guys just don't pay attention to anything it doesn't mean she's not doing it. It just means you are not well informed about your government.
And she doesn't make a bullhorn about everything that she does. It's just
Right.
not what you do. That's not policy. You don't freaking do a billboard behind every piece of legislation you're pushing or passing.
Mm-hmm.
But it just rubs me when it comes from us as opposed to them. I feel like we should know better. That statement that just Mark put
Right.
up, do you guys know about that?
I don't, and I'm inclined to believe it, but I don't know that it's true. You know, but I mean, it's very
credit
possible.
for everything Obama did, what he did
I mean,
do away with. So
It
makes
is
sense.
a tactic of a classic narcissist to put you in jeopardy and then save you from it and want thanks for it. So it makes sense that he would strip money away from them and then give it back and say, "Look at the gift I've given you." That does track. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Yes,
I didn't
I'm
know
telling
that.
you, when I hear folks say things like that, or I give it, he took the money back. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna pay you. I'm gonna give it back to you, and then we'll go talk about it. Or when people want cookies for just common decency,
Yeah.
you're not racist. You want me to throw you a parade? I mean, I think
Or being a human being.
for being
But I failed to do something, and before we take a hard right in this show and start talking about all the other shenanigans that have gone on this week, I want to take a moment of silence. We lost, since the last time we were on the show, we've lost 3 titans of entertainment. There was Cheeto Jackson, there was Frankie Beverly, and I think the one that hit us all the hardest, there was James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
Who is the voice of everybody, and so I just want to say, rest in peace, gentlemen. We love you all dearly. The world is a little bit darker without you all in it. No family reunion. will ever quite feel the same
God.
without you.
Star Wars is old school. It's just gone now.
Old school Star Wars is just gone now.
Yeah.
And because Black people can't never do right, I know you all have seen the funeral arrangements for Mufasa that were going around the internet for a while. I think Zazu was doing a eulogy. Nala and the rest of the lionesses was singing. I think Rafiki was doing a repast. Like we can't be serious about nothing. But I love us for it because sometimes you do have to kind of smile, like laugh through the pain.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We are a hot mess. We are always funny. But
I would tell you this, guys, about Frankie Beverly, right? For most of my life, I thought Frankie Beverly was from New Orleans. There is no cookout in Louisiana, no Black cookout.
Straight up Philadelphia, Shay.
Black folks, right?
Where is he from?
Philadelphia.
He's from Philadelphia.
Really?
Right? So you cannot say a bad word about Frankie Beverly and Mays in Louisiana and survive. You're gonna have some problems getting out of town.
I was today years old when I found out that Frankie Beverly was from Louisiana because he always closed Essence. I thought he was like a homecoming thing. Oh.
And didn't he write? Didn't like all the songs they ever wrote were like all written in the '80s? So they hadn't really wrote any new hits since like "We Are One." Wasn't it their last song they ever wrote?
Yeah, they haven't had to do a new song. And mentioning the second line that they did in New Orleans, the whole city came out, everybody dressed in white, and they did a second line throughout the entirety of New Orleans. It was a beautiful thing to see. If I don't have the video clip, but just Google New Orleans Frankie Beverly second line, and you will see it. It is the most beautiful thing. You talk about a celebration of life. It was beautiful.
His song "Southern Girl" was a tribute to women in New Orleans.
Yeah,
Southern Girl. Yeah.
We have like 9/20 because tomorrow's his birthday, I believe. So we'll have a second Louisiana Frankie Beverly, all white.
Yeah, I saw that meme. We're all white tomorrow.
He was bigger in Europe than the USA. So everybody wear all white tomorrow for Frankie Beverly's birthday.
One love. All right.
Speaking of all white.
Oh God.
Your boy.
Oh God. I know where you're going.
We about to get into this.
Okay.
I'm brown just for this.
I need some.
Grab a drink, y'all.
Too.
Puffy.
Diddy.
I need a whole bottle.
I don't even know where to start. Shay Johnson.
Oh God.
The memes just keep on coming. So if you have been out of what did you say? Did he do it? Is both the question and the answer. Did he do it? Did he do it? Did he do it? Mm-hmm. I didn't really think take that was a command. I thought it was just a line in a song.
Turn off the lights.
I honestly believe he didn't think he was going to be arrested or have to, he was going to be able to make bail when he surrendered himself. I honestly believe he thought he was going to make bail when he went to New York.
Right, because he was like, here I am. I'm sorry, my bad.
I got the $50 million. Let's just do this and let me go home back where
I'm selling a boat. Here's all my money. Please let me go. And they're like, no, because you fled last time.
Yeah.
Right. And so him and R. Kelly sitting up in there like.
What are y'all's projections? Do you feel like it's going to be something heavy that's going to come down, or he's going to plea his way out of it, or he's going to take down people with him? I actually think he's going to take down a whole bunch of folks with him because there's a lot of folks quiet right now.
Yep.
So I will tell you two things. I think that he's going to ultimately.
But there's no bail on RICO charges.
Right?
He's going to do what again, Shay?
You have to name some names. I don't know. And I will tell you that count 3 of that indictment might be where the names start being revealed. But it's such a far-reaching, widespread case that they're alleging against him, like I said earlier. This is what they allege, right? But at the end of all this, when you get rid of all the salacious details about all the other stuff, at the end of the indictment, they asked for forfeiture of assets. So that is very concerning to me for one reason only. If he should be found guilty, basically they've set it up to where this man who's accumulated almost $1 billion in net worth, that possibly his children will not receive that because it will be taken by the U.S. government. So you have to go back through the indictment and figure out all the different things and the reasons why they're saying all this. But it was really that was really the thing that stood out for me before we even talk about his innocence or his guilt, whether or not he'll be convicted. The generational wealth he accumulated stands to be lost by this foolishness.
Now, I know, I'm thinking about like the Fat Farm and all of them. Like a lot of that stuff is in his kids' name. Like they have their own thing, but everything was in Puffy's name. Like his kids didn't have any of their own entities.
So this is what the indictment says basically, right? They charge him with the racketeering, right? Everybody's heard of RICO. That's the racketeering statute. And what they say is that Sean Diddy Combs and all his names and all of his associates, whether by name, unknown, whatever, and the Combs businesses, all Bad Boys, whatever he has, movies, production, radio, clothing, alcohol, all form this one criminal enterprise. So those are the players: Sean Combs, Combs Industries, and all of his associates, employees, whomever. And so you literally can go and trace just about every dollar that this man has ever made. And at the end of this says, because this business or these enterprises participated in this racketeering issue, we can go and just start trying to link up each dollar to these offenses. Easy.
So let me ask you this, Shay.
So go ahead.
How wide of a net can they cast with people that they feel like that were conspirators in it? Because from what I know, and not firsthand knowledge, but when you went to those events that he had, it was always understood that the later on in the night, the freak-offs would happen.
Right.
And it was pretty much common knowledge in the industry. Everybody knew about it. It wasn't like it was something that was taboo. It was just something that just happened. That's why a lot of people had a hard time with TD Jakes, because they were like, yo, we all knew this was going on. You gonna act like you didn't know this? So
I even saw a quote from Denzel that said he was telling young actors, like, leave about 30 minutes before the devil gets there.
Yeah, because it was just common knowledge that toward the end of the evening, it was going to turn into, a lot of freaky stuff. So given that, who can remove themselves from it? Or can anybody? Do I have to stop listening to Faith Evans now as a result? Like, what is it?
Here's the thing, right? So
Hey, Tom.
the first count is the RICO count, right? And they have he's done all this. He's abused women. He's forced them into performing with these commercial sex workers, the males. And then count 2 is what I call the Cassie count, right? There's victim 1 who's unnamed, and they talk about the things that happened there. But then that third count says he's trafficking or transporting people for the purpose of prostitution, right? So let's see. If I'm going to be bringing someone across state lines for prostitution, that means I might be getting some money from that, right? So who are the people who are paying to partake in that part, if it happens, right? And so as I said earlier, will some names start coming? But it might be happening.
Yeah.
Well, it was reported that he had policemen out here on the payroll. Yeah.
Not surprising.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. But, it's going to reach far more than just celebrities. I mean, there's people from all walks of life, I just want his kids to be sheltered from this. I feel like they were just pretty much a victim of circumstance because they've been through enough as it is, especially those girls.
Yeah. Yeah. I really hope that there's a way to protect them as much as possible.
Right.
Because they're going to hear about all of this, but to
Yeah.
keep at least some sort of shelter from them.
Yeah.
From this. But as you would expect, the memes abound because we can't be serious about nothing. Just the idea of him and all this doggone baby oil. Why do you have 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
And what was the need for it? I don't understand. What was the need for the baby oil?
I mean, maybe he knew this was coming, so this is what he needed all that lube for.
Y'all really can't be serious.
We can't be serious about nothing.
I mean, his freak flag was never at half mast, obviously, but damn, baby oil. I was like, I don't understand what the need for baby oil was. And then they said there was like a lot of, what's the scientific word for dildos? Now that I've said it. Like they seized over like 780 dildos.
Phallic assistances.
I don't know. I've already said it. But yeah, I'm like, yo, dude, like these things were like legendary.
Chance, bitch, you cook Diddy probably. And Tom is like, Tom is in the airport. He's not gonna be with us tonight, but he already has a parody written that I'm sure we will be dropping that single on all of our social media sometime in the next 24, 48 hours.
Yeah, I couldn't cover Tom's singing part. I mean, I could talk about the other stuff, but
so Mark says that Diddy's son was also accused of abusing women. So there's probably going to be something that comes out as well. And
I'm just so of course it's mind blowing, right? And I'm saying to myself, and look, I'm a defense attorney through and through. Okay, because I'm finding it a little hard to believe that you have all these people, because what we know about fame and money and fortune is that it's very alluring to a lot of people, right? The close personal relationship with that he may be able to exact that type of abuse on. Because a lot of people didn't believe Cassie, when she came forth, they were more prone to believe.
Tom.
Right? But you mean, like, it makes no sense, right? That you're in California, just go over there to Vegas where it's legal and just produce porn movies or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Why would you do?
You make a very interesting point. We'll say 75% of what he was doing, all he had to do was say lights, camera, action in like a valley, a condo or something in Vegas, and it's legal. Why? Why did you do it this way?
Well, I think it becomes a sport at this point. You want to just pretty much use your powers because
use your power.
People are dying to be a part of this industry,
and you want to control who has access. You want to force people.
I know people right now, and I actually know someone who would pretty much sell out his mom just to have a chance at this Hollywood dream. I'm not kidding you. So the active players were probably doing consent. I'm pretty sure they were.
Yeah.
But the way that he acted on it, like over the state lines, and then the other thing that he did that made all federal offenses, because there's really no crime in getting your freak on. It's just not. But with the manner,
there's consent and there's coercion.
Exactly. So I feel like the manner that he chose to do so is what's got him in all the trouble. Even with Mark Robinson, his freak flag was high at one point, and there was no crime in it. It's just his about face right now is the problem. You're trying to demonize and pretty much strip away the integrity of all the people who are still about that freaky life. And you ain't, which you probably still are. You just got a more controlled way of getting your rocks off.
I'll tell you, I got a friend who lives in California. Well, he has lived in a lot of places, and he's been to a lot of countries, and he has hung out with a lot of really, really, really rich people. And he's told me, he goes, you know what, Joy? When people get really, really rich and they've done a lot of things, stuff like climbing the mountains and jumping out of planes and shooting lions and rhinos and stuff is boring. They've done all of that. And they're looking for the next big high. They're looking for the next thing that is different and new. And he says they get into, he goes, and he said it like this, his eyes, he goes, and they get into some freaky shit. And like, I'm looking at him like, yo, what are you telling me? He goes, I'm telling you, it's people, I don't even drink around them no more. And I'm like, dang, bro. Like, I mean, and this was like him just talking. And that wasn't even Hollywood. That was like rich tech people. And if the nerds is getting into that type of stuff, you can only imagine when you not only have the power, the access, the money, the ability to do whatever, and you got people wanting to be in your circle on top of that. It's ridiculous.
Did you just share a story that the person who went underground to get close to the Titanic, they want to do it again? Because they feel like they could. That to me is akin to something like that. You know, it ended up, all they had perished the last time. And
right, but me, I'm going to do it better.
Just crazy as hell. Like, I'm gonna pay somebody for this. But, you know, that's one of the things where you'll see a lot of this travel that these rich people do. They're going to these third world countries, spending a lot of time and a lot of money. They're not just going there because the water is beautiful.
Chan, that's a good way to put it. Now they beat the game, and now they out here doing side quests with baby oil and lube and dildos because they bored and they ain't got nothing else to do. Right.
Guns and allegedly drugs.
And allegedly drugs. But, you know, ultimately it's going to end up as, you know, please go to jail immediately, but also forever.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't think he's going to be able to use. And also, let's not forget, I don't care what you thought, you and OJ the same way. You still black, bro. You going to get this work. You going to be in there, or y'all going to drop a mixtape if you want to, but you going to jail.
I don't think
the
that
white
culture
dudes went too.
I don't know if that culture still exists, you know, in the way that Diddy does it now, like widespread. I don't think so. I feel like the only reason why Diddy is coming is just so glaring. It's just because when he started, it was before Me Too. So there wasn't this whole dialed in, you know, narrative about taking advantage of women and, you know, pretty much stripping the women of their will and overtaking them and promising them something as a result of it. I feel like because he started before that, it was just hard for him to get out of it because he was pretty much going a long time unchecked. And now that he's gotten a little bit checked about and people are a little bit more aware of it, it was a little bit too late. The habit was already sealed in. He didn't know how to live any other kind of way. So he just leaned in thinking, you know, I'll just pay people off to be quiet.
And paying people off don't work like it used to.
It does not.
Jermaine, you bring up an interesting point because in the indictment, in two of the accounts, they say he started around 2007, 2008 through 2024. Yeah, which is the 2024 part about that is you knew a year ago that these people were investigating you. Yeah, and you continue.
Right.
You can't help yourself. It's a part of your life. It's like getting up, going to work every day. I got to bring some people in and we got to do this. And even if I'm bored, it's just something that I got to do. You know, it's really sad.
Sean Puffy Combs Diddy Porn Company. That's literally what you could have done and just built a whole empire. People would have bought your movies because
right. You could have had a whole Diddy hub, right? And started a whole new. It would have been an empire, and you could have done.
But there were a lot of secrets in that he probably wanted to keep because there were things about him that a lot of people knew, but it was never widespread. Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he wanted to keep that under wraps too. You know, some same gender loving affairs that was involved.
I was gonna say that because you were talking about him taking advantage of women, but he took advantage of men as well.
Right. Because the story actually leaked. I don't know who he was, but he was a nephew to somebody in the industry, and they hooked him up with Diddy. And he said that was the line right there when he found himself in a situation like that. He just, you know, recused himself from the entire situation.
And, you know, when you think about everything that is coming out or that we could extrapolate from this, you know, we asked this question before, like when we first started talking about this, before these indictments came down, like, is that why Mace went back to church? You know, like what's really going on? right? Because remember, Mace
Hindsight is a mother. Yeah,
just
yeah.
got out all of a sudden. And then I saw a video. I wish you know, you're scrolling on Instagram and you see something and then you blink and it's gone. You can't never find it again. It was a
You
video
scroll.
of Diddy and Mike Tyson sitting on the couch talking to like Ellen or some they've been interviewed on some talk show. And Diddy's arms are just, you know, sitting on the couch, but his hand is in between him and Mike. And Mike like lifts his hand up and puts it back on Diddy, like move your hand, and like moves away from him and keeps, I mean, it's not grand. It's not like, hey, bro, stop touching me. But he very much picks Diddy's hand up and puts it back on Diddy's arm leg, and then like straightens his jacket up and shifts away from Diddy. And like, it's not anything that you ever would think about. It just seems like he's making space for himself. But in light of all of this, yo, what did you do to make Mike Tyson uncomfortable? This is all conjecture. I ain't got no proof of nothing. But when you look at that through a different lens, yo, what is happening up here?
Well,
everything is going to be dialed and colored now. All footage.
When he gave everybody their masters back, right? So the people were saying like something big is coming because you're you're trying to pay these people off without it seemingly being right.
Big up to Matthew Knowles because he kept Beyonce from that stuff. I gotta give it.
He kept her from that and from R. Kelly because R. Kelly wanted to do a song with her when she was young, and he was like, "No, sir, what you're not gonna do. It's my daughter." Right?
Oh, big up to him.
I don't know what did he get. He was up there talking about can't nobody hold me down, and the feds was like hold my cheese.
Exactly.
We're coming, dude.
We're not gonna hold you down. We're gonna hold you in the cell. We got a holding cell for you though.
Yes, indeed. Isn't the judge your sister? I've been seeing sketches of her. She looks like a sister to me.
The magistrate might have been because the first judge who denied his bail was the magistrate, and then he went to the actual federal judge, and then he denied his bail. The federal judge is a male, and I thought he was black, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I was just looking at drawings and trying to figure out like who these people had in for. I thought he was going to be close to $50 million and get out himself. So.
I wonder. Yeah, I want me. If Mace knows something, because they was tight boys. So I wonder, you know, what you know, Mace. What you know about something about Anyway, in other freak off news, the last thing we want to talk about is your boy.
Oh God,
Mark Robinson. Now.
Do we have to?
We have to. We got to talk about this nonsense. If you don't know who Mark Robinson is, he is a candidate for governor of North Carolina and self-styled. And this is not slander or libel because apparently this is something that he called himself on some private areas, Black Nazi.
Yeah.
Mark Robinson.
I'm sorry, he called himself a what?
A Black Nazi. Yes.
Well, Trump don't even want to be called a Nazi. Like, Mark used to silly.
Mark Robinson. So, I was going to try to put up some screenshots, and I feel bad for Tom because he can't be on the show, and he is screaming on my phone and in the chat. Screenshots. Look at the screenshots. Put up the screenshots, bruh. See you. Thank you, sir.
Are they rated R?
They are.
Oh, okay.
And they're very hard to see because there's so many of them, and they're embedded in an article that keeps going to commercial, and so they're very hard to see. But what I can tell you is that I have all of this on the phone, and so what I'm going to do is I've got this article still up, and I'm able to read all this to you. So bear with me. What I'm going to do is bring this picture back up. If I can pull us to the side and see if I can, it's going to overlay it with us, unfortunately. Let's see if I can do this right. Nope, he's still up here. So Just remember that face, Mark Robinson. Now, what do you know about Mark Robinson? We're going to tell you this. Mark Robinson, the controversial and socially conservative Republican, is a nominee for the governor of North Carolina. I'm ignoring you, Tom. He's sending me like Twitter posts right now. I see you. I already told you it's too small. You know what? Just because you're making an ass of yourself, I'm gonna do it right now because he wants me to pull up these screenshots that are too small to see on screen. So, but we'll continue to talk while I can do this. I'm gonna try and do double duty really quickly. So, one of the things about this is we continue to see from people who are a part of the larger GOP party that everything that they say that they stand for is exactly not who they are.
Yeah,
it's not what they do. And so what we're seeing here is this is what he has sent me, and this is honestly terrible, and I don't want to post it, but you know, Tom wants us to see this, so I'm going to show this to you.
I'm holding my breath. Can we get it over with real quick?
Yeah, we're going to get this over with as quickly as possible.
He wanted to reinstate slavery too? Wow. Yeah. Wow, Mark. Really, Mark?
All right, so this is, hang on, bring this up. This is one of his posts, so I can read this to you. Something. So he's talking about, I have a FB, a cut buddy that loves to do something, open her ASS and have me piss in her pussy and something longer and hotter, and something and she lies on her back and something come and something on her clit and blah 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 blah. This is why I didn't want to fucking show that because it's disgusting. Thank you, Tom. So, as I was saying,
that's got 2024 on it. Wait, when did he write this?
Well, this is the stuff they found in the archive.
This is September 23rd of 2011.
Yeah.
And what is happening is a lot of this stuff is coming out because none of this is recent. I will say this. A lot of this stuff is like more than 10 years old. But 10 or 12 years ago, this dude was all over like Black Planet. He was all over like a bunch of different porn sites. And he was unfortunately not smart enough to use different aliases.
Yeah.
And so he had this alias. And if I'm right about it, it was like Mini Soldier.
Yeah.
Like MINISOLDR. And he used that same moniker across all these different sites. So it was very easy for anybody with a passing understanding of how to like trace something back to be like, oh, that's him and that's him again. The details are the same. Somebody like this profile would say that he'd been married 20 years, and so did his main profile. This profile would say that he lived in Greensboro, and so did this other profile. This profile would say that he had a wife who worked for a certain place, and so did his other profile. And so it's easy to say, this you, bro. This is you again and again and again.
You know what? I don't know about voting for him for governor, but he cannot run my IT.
Right. He's currently the lieutenant governor of North Carolina.
So
he denounced Martin Luther King
before when he became lieutenant governor. Like, how come it didn't catch up with him then? Is it because they just weren't dialed into him as closely then, or like, because it's interesting how all of a sudden now it's like this is like exploding.
Because he tried to reach a little higher. You know what I'm saying? So he wanted to go for governor, and all of a sudden that's a much grander stage. Lieutenant governor is kind of internal to the state. Governor, everybody's gonna see you,
right?
And the internet is forever. All it takes is one enterprising person to do a quick Google search and dig a little deeper and be like, hey, this you? You know, and he's claiming that all of this is a lie. But this is a very well thought out and fabricated lie for somebody to have put this much backstory across all these different places. You know, he's on Black Planet, he's on Pinterest. And he's doing all these things, and it's very consistent. The language is consistent. The type of ways he describes things is consistent. Even the phrases like, you know, frog, I don't give a fat frog's ass. He said that over and over again across different places and different platforms over and over again. This is not, it don't feel like a lie, bro.
Well, he was just old school trying to, you know, work in technology, not knowing that the footprint is going to last forever. Like, had he been somebody younger, he would have known to switch up his aliases and like
Right.
got a different email address for this account. You know what I'm saying? But,
Mhm.
but you know,
Right.
it's kind of the way you can cover up your dirty tracks. Okay.
Right.
If
Tom
you want to go on
said
certain
he-
sites, you can.
He was on a site called Nude Africa.
Yeah.
That's what I'm reading now. Like,
So he was just sloppy in all this. But you know, I understand his appeal to the MAGA. He's product placement. He's saying
Mhm.
everything that they want him to say from a black man's mouth,
Mhm.
and he's carrying all the water. I mean, just being extreme. I mean, you would have thought him saying that people need to be killed would have been enough for them to like disavow him. No.
He talked about liking slavery. He's like, I wish they would bring it back. I would buy a few
Yeah.
myself if I could.
I mean, when you like double down that hard on MAGA and you black, dude, seriously.
or being
You
a
should
black
maybe
Nazi.
confess it. Okay, Bob. You sound like you might be in agreement. Well, you know how you do when you want to go to certain tawdry websites. It's like, well, let me pull up an old Gmail account that I'm never going to use.
Right.
Like
You
dummy
know,
would.
look.
Just who knows?
We're all friends here. I will let you know. I have an iPad that is dedicated to only doing one thing. It ain't tied to nothing else. And it's all, what do you call it? Incognito mode. They never
Every
erase
part
it
of
every
that
day.
profile doesn't say nothing about Joy Stevens. Your birth date.
I don't even log in. It's always anonymous trial every day. Never. And erase it.
It's one of
Let me
those
tell you how old the
passwords you have to
iPad
write
is.
down.
It's the iPad 1 from like 2006.
Mark didn't know how to do any of that.
Mm-mm.
Because he could have gotten away with all this stuff. But no, he was just sloppy with it. And
He was
I
sloppy
tell you,
with it.
the receipts came.
Like Paul said, he really is Uncle Ruckus.
Yes.
Yes. Like, wow.
Engaging in his own little freak off of it. And they will discard him. They're going to discard him now because he's proven once again. How many times have we seen someone who is a bastion of conservatism, according to what they say? We don't want this, we don't want that, we want to save the children, blah, 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 blah. Turn out to be a super closet freak.
Yeah.
Right. And the things that he was saying, he talked about finding a spot where he could look through a grate and watch women in the shower. And he did it over and over again until they figured it out and blocked the grates. And he was like, good old days. Those were the days. Like, bro, you bragging about this on the internet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when it gets to a deep another level. It's like, yo, dude, that stuff you kind of like, you don't put that on paper. It's just conversations you have.
Right.
Watching the person's phone, making sure that nobody's recording. So
his story is it wasn't him. Not that
yeah, he's pulling that Shaggy. It wasn't me.
And he came out because he knew the story was going to leak, Shay. So he came out with a statement before this stuff dropped, disavowing everything that was going to follow it. So he tried to get ahead of it, but it didn't hurt. It didn't help.
Apparently he has 3 hours left to withdraw his name.
In it. He said he's going to stay. I want him to stay in it, stay to the very end. You be selfish. Hell, they didn't elevate you. You stay to the very end. Don't you let them drag you out.
If he stays in and let's do an update. Let me look right now and see if he is still in it.
No, they're gonna try to force him, but he's like swearing he's not going anywhere.
I didn't see it when I was
This story was kind of forced upon me because I was trying to run from it, but every time I would refresh my timeline, something else would come up. I was like, damn.
I don't see anything yet.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
As of 2 hours ago, he vows to stay in the race, which means they might lose North Carolina.
I mean, he's not going to win the governorship anyway, but I feel like they're worried about what it's going to do to Trump, at this point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because this is another example of somebody that is in his camp turning out to be nothing more than the deplorable that Hillary Clinton called them all those years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't seem to stick to Trump. It's just like, oh my goodness.
This is the Diddy of stories. You can't run from it. Exactly. What is going on in the world? You know what? I'm sitting here like there aren't vases and etchings all across Europe with just the freakiest shit on them. Like they ain't been doing freaky things since they knew how to draw, right? So,
and there is some really, but the whole Christian gaze that we have over here, is what makes it so extreme taboo. Because we're sexual people. We like to dive into our sexual fantasies in real time. We really do. But this whole Christian notion that we're supposed to abide by is what makes it all so dirty. Because like I said earlier, everything that he did, none of that stuff is illegal. Well, I mean, I guess peeping Tom is. But all that freaky
Tom
stuff, the details of that.
Right.
Don't take my name out of this.
Boy, Tom got the jokes.
But if he's already on the absentee ballot, it may be too late to remove him. I don't know, but
yeah.
But even if that is the case, even if they do remove him, they'd be hard pressed to put somebody else on the ballot because the people have already started to absentee vote. Even if they change the ballot, it's going to hurt that other candidate anyway. So they North Carolina's a mess.
I mean, he wasn't going to win anyway, because I feel like he had gotten really, really behind even before this, Robinson. But this is like the nail in the coffin. So I just hope it drags every other Republican candidate down.
Right. But we're not going to drag ourselves down because we talk about a whole lot of heavy stuff. But as we've mentioned time and time again, we can't be serious about nothing.
What you got, Joy?
So how Trump and JD Vance, they doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on this nonsense in Ohio, talking about they're eating the dogs and they're eating the cats and everything. So naturally, our people had to be funny with it. So they took that clip, that audio clip from the debate. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. And what you end up with is something like this.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, eat the cat, 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 eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, eat the cat. Eat the cat, eat the cat.
And ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
People on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television.
I love it.
Joy, I just sent you another one. I forgot.
You sent me another one.
It's a meme, not a video. That gave me quite a lot.
I don't know if I have time to put it up, but I'm gonna show it. But so the far be it for black folks to be the only ones to get in on it. So shout out to my Latin.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
Well, one more.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
No,
that also just
they're kind of sexy too.
I'm saying. That also just goes to show you that if it's melanated, it's gonna have a little rhythm to it. We got 3 different general nationalities represented here, and everybody had a little something.
I'm here for all of it.
I'm here for all of it. We gonna make a hit. We're gonna drop that beat, right? So Shay just sent me something, and I'm gonna see if I can show it to you. If it'll show up really quickly. Oh
no, it's too. Oh, there you go.
I need all cues to check in and mark yourself safe. Make sure nobody ate my dogs.
Because it's very plausible.
Right. Another thing about that guy, Sizor, I think his name is, the black guy that came up first. The caption on that said, "Eat the cat." He goes, "Consensually." I love him.
Okay.
I love him.
I missed that.
Don't want to get any indictments. We don't know no more Diddy-fied stuff up in here.
No, we've had enough a week. My God,
we got enough problems this week. But I do want to circle all the way around all of this, all the freak offs and everything else that's going on. First of all, there's a lot of things in the news that will make you question your sanity, question what's happening I want y'all to remember to protect your peace,
No.
protect your sanity, because absorbing too much of this can put you in a bad headspace.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I like to throw a little funny things up every now and then, because we can't just stay mired in the bleh, right?
Yeah.
Protect
You writing manifestos.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, don't do that either. Those lead to indictments too. Don't do that.
Ooh, Paul. Ooh.
And see,
You don't want to
know that's the key. And my yes, indeed.
Tom is out of control.
If Tom was here, this show would have been a whole.
Oh,
I mean,
he is so mad that he can't be here right now. He got
This
like 35 one-liners in his mind right
I
now.
mean, they're popping. Yeah.
I mean, it's insane the things that are going on. I just don't know. It's like,
But,
I do modify my diet. Like on Sundays, I just try to get away from it all, just so I can just have a day of just mindless television. I mean, I'll even watch something on satellite TV just to get away from, all the minutia.
I am big into K-drama and K-pop. I like to watch my little Stray Kids babies. I'm a big Stray Kids fan. They call themselves Stay. I'm a Stay. Because they're all out. They're like in their mid-20s. They all look like anime that come to life. And all they do is sing and dance and smile. This is it. And K-dramas are the best because it's always some high school kid. All they do is hold hands and save the world. It's awesome. And it's great it's a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
All the other nonsense that I deal with during the week.
A good renovation show.
Yeah. Yeah. Give me some,
HGTV.
Love it or list it,
Yeah.
That's on Saturdays, right? I do that. It's like I'm not answering the phone.
Yeah.
Talking to anybody. And my mom is like, "Oh my God, you didn't answer the phone. It might be an emergency." You'll find
a way to get me if it's an emergency. You know how to get to me.
But on Saturday is just
one of the best shows to make you believe in humanity again. I'm not even. I don't even care what your particular like religion, whatever it might be. Queer Eye on Netflix will make you believe that humanity is not lost. I promise you, it's one of the most uplifting shows that I have seen in a decade. I love those cats. It's because it's more than the first generation of that, like 20 years ago, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy was about like coming to give you a makeover. This show, they be changing lives on this show. And it's more than just men, women, college kids, whatever. I promise you, go back and watch like all the most recent seasons over the last 2-3 years. They change lives. It is amazing. I'm 100% serious. Watch Queer Eye on. If you want an uplifting show, make you ugly cry, like some cathartic tears, is that good?
Well, I don't know if I have an uplifting show to watch because my guilty pleasure has been two things. Why am I watching mob documentaries? I don't know. And Fright Night on Peacock with Kevin Hart and Samuel Jackson. It's bananas, right?
Oh, the one
you
that's
didn't watch it, so it's good.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yes, I think I've watched the first 3 episodes, or maybe 4. So there should be a new one coming out. I'm not sure how many they have. Maybe they have 10 or 12 or whatever. But that's been my Saturday binge watching. I don't know why I'm watching the mob stories, but I've watched the New York mob, Chicago. But what's interesting about them, though, really is if you think of every major American city, literally was dust and a stop sign, not a stoplight, before the mob showed up. Atlantic City, New York, Philadelphia, Las Vegas, Chicago. Literally built by the
mafia. It's interesting because most of those gangs formed in response to police and stuff trying to over police their areas, over control. Sometimes it's a protection racket, but a lot of times they were trying to basically govern their own neighborhoods. And then it turned into, racketeering and guns and drugs and all that kind of stuff. But it starts off with, we got this and we handling our shit in here. And then it turned into something else. Because the first gangs were, I want to say, like Irish and Italian. And black gangs didn't come about until they started to have to protect themselves from police violence
Yeah.
in the like 50s, 60s, and 70s.
So
And
that was always the
the
response.
Chicago
Just would create their own.
What about Chicago?
said, and the mob, because in Chicago, they have what was called a policy, right? It was a numbers game, which is run by black people. It just shows like everybody just like they just can't leave us alone at all, right? And it was very insulated. The mob couldn't get into it. They couldn't break into it until the guy who was like the biggest dog in the policy game, he went to jail, spent some time with a mobster, and was talking too much. And so he gave the guy the inside scoop. And eventually the mob comes in. Basically, they kidnap and beat him up and say, either you take a salary from us or you die. But either way, we're going to take over this illegal gambling enterprise that you all have kept from us. Y'all are being so mean, y'all don't want to share the love.
But then they have the balance to where they do such good in the community, and you're just like, oh, thank you for this scholarship. But go back to killing people, but thank you for this money, because I didn't have it to go to college, because they have a nice balance.
Like Nino Brown giving turkeys out.
It's like, damn, why do I feel really good about you guys? And you guys are really horrible. I didn't know much about that whole numbers life.
Nino Brown? I was like, did Diddy think he was Nino Brown?
He may have. Whenever black people talk about running numbers, I would always equate that with the northern thing, because they didn't do that down south. I mean, we had, I guess what it would equate to, like the football board. Remember the football board?
Yeah. Oh yeah, my parents used to do that all the time. Football board and liquor falling off the back of trucks.
That's it. You come
allegedly.
It's hot, but you're gonna be at that beauty shop every Saturday morning waiting on something, because somebody coming through.
I may or may not have mixed my share of cases when I was a teenager for my parents, but they all dead now, so statute of limitations run out on that.
I don't know if I had a Walkman that was bought out of a store.
No. I thought things just came to the house. Okay, we're telling too many stories in our family, so it's time to go.
Wait.
And Shay ain't said nothing.
Right, Shay's like, I'm a lawyer.
We didn't do any of those things.
Right. I would like to say for the record that Shay and I have never met in real life, and this is her first time ever speaking to me in real life, and she has nothing to do with my life at all. She's a fine, upstanding citizen.
Second that.
I was a good, upstanding citizen since I was 2 days old.
Oh wait, this last thing that Chan brought up, thanks for this. One other thing about Diddy is that as soon as he got popped, 3 other high-ranking executives at large record companies resigned. One was Warner Music Japan, and I think Sony was another one. Oh,
that's why he thought he was so powerful, because his brother was global.
He thought he was connected and protected, and now everybody else is like, pew. They in the wind. They probably liquidated as much money as they could, resign, and they in some country of non-extradition.
Ain't to be seen for a long time.
Yep, somewhere.
A lot of people holding their breaths, I imagine.
No, I know. Yeah.
We'll be back next week, probably talking about the next shoe to drop, I'm sure. But
Shay, you gotta come back, girl.
Right. We at the hour 44-minute mark right now, so we're gonna go ahead and shut it down for the day. So, in conclusion, stay away from them Hollywood types because they nasty. That's what you should take away from today's show. If you haven't registered to vote, we've missed the deadlines, but encourage everybody to now use their registration. Turn out to vote. We got about 45 days left until the election. Exercise your right to vote. Make sure that we bring it home for Mama Kamala. All right, y'all?
For sure.
All right. So, as always, go ahead, Shay.
So you might want to call Abbott over there in Texas because he's doing everything to violate elections.
Oh, boy. Yes, he is.
Closing polls. It's just...
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Oh, Mark is so nice.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna get out of here, and as always, we always like to end the show. I am Joy Stevens.
I'm Jermaine Taylor.
And I'm Shay Johnson.
And this has been Steel Sharpens Steel.